across the South Coast, live from Solent University. You're listening to Solent Sports News.
Good afternoon, it's 3 o'clock. I'm Lloyd Stevens, and these are your Solent Sports News headlines. An England rugby legend has announced that he will be retiring at the end of the season. Ben Young is England's most capped men's player, and at 35 years old, he's calling it a day. He called the announcement a bittersweet feeling. Norwich City have sacked Johannes Hoff-Thorpe. Ex-Arsenal and England manager Jack Wilshere has replaced him as interim head coach. Norwich City correspondent Ethan Cook is with us with more details.
Thank you, Lloyd. Yes, like you said, it's been pretty shocking that just today Johannes Hoff-Thorpe got sacked. He's lost 6 in his last 8 games, so it was really on the cards. But in his first season, it's very quite unlike Norwich, who we've seen generally have managers for a bit longer than most teams. Jack Wilshere taking over. He has a relationship with Norwich's current sporting director, Ben Napper, and it feels like a new era for Norwich. They've got new owners, new sporting director in the past couple of years, and now a new manager, hopefully next year, to push them up back to the Premier League, where they arguably deserve to be.
Thank you very much, Ethan. Moving on to the Premier League tonight, Manchester City face Aston Villa in a massive game for the Champions League spot. Pep Guardiola has called this evening's game a final for his side. Guardiola is calling on his team supporters to come out and give his players the extra push that they need.
People won the Champions League next season again, and hopefully can help us for the middle one. Don't wait. Sometimes we are sloppy, sometimes we're not playing good. It's that now we need them. We need them desperately, to support us, to make noise and be in there all the time.
Aston Villa correspondent Alex Eiton is here to preview the fixture.
Yeah, that's right. It really is a big one tonight. From 3rd to 7th in the Premier League, there are only 3 points separating it. There's a real feel-good feeling around the club at the moment at Villa. They've won 5 games in a row, obviously. I think you saw the best of them in that Newcastle game in the weekend and the PSG one in the week. There's just such a real good feeling. But yeah, for the game tonight, I think on paper now, I don't think you can say City have a much better squad than Villa on paper with the injuries to Haaland and Rodri. Villa have the best double pivot in the league at the moment. Tielemans and Kamara in the middle. They've been 2 of the most outstanding midfielders in the league. Obviously, you've seen the threat of Rashford and Watkins in the past week. So yeah, I think, in my opinion, it might be a bit biased, but I think there's a real upset on the cards tonight, and this would put Villa above Man City. So, yeah, I'm excited for it, but whatever happens, I hope that Villa can win the FA Cup or get top 4. It's a good, successful season for them.
Thank you very much, Alex. Moving on to the other side of the Premier League, we've got Tottenham slipping to 16th after losing to Nottingham Forest. Will boss Ange Postecoglou get the sack? On 37 points with 5 games left, this could possibly be Spurs' worst season ever. In 1998, they only got 44 points. Postecoglou was asked after the match if he had a message for his frustrated fans.
I don't need to say anything to the fans. The fans are disappointed. They're probably angry as we are as well. It's too many losses. I know that. From our perspective, it's something we need to accept responsibility that we've fallen short of the standards we need to have.
Scott Parker's Burnley secured promotion to the Premier League last night with 2 games to spare after beating Sheffield United 2-1. They will be joined by Leeds United after their 6-0 win over Stoke City. The Burnley boss says winning the 2nd division in England feels very different to the other times that he has done it.
This was a football club I walked into, and from the minute I walked in, there was a warmth, there was a love, there was a support. Gave me energy, really. Sometimes as a coach, that you're on your own, it's a bit of a lonely place, really. I've always felt the support, the real love of the group.
For the 2nd successive season, all 3 promoted sides are set to be relegated back to the Championship. Southampton are one of those sides, with the South Coast outfit on course to finish on a record low Premier League points total. Much concern has been made this season about the difference in quality in the Premier League. Our football correspondent Nathan Williams is live with us now to discuss the matter.
Yes, thank you, Lloyd. For me, it's the manner in which they've been relegated, not just for Saints, but the 2 other relegated sides as well. You've got to come into the Premier League with an ounce of respect. Teams can't stay up playing out from the back. We've seen that with the likes of Burnley in the past, wanting to emulate Manchester City. The players just aren't of the same quality, and you've got to spend lots if you want to reach that level. There's got to be a change of strategy for Saints. They're signing young players who they want to sell on for profit, but aren't proving at Premier League level. There's a squad that also lacks experience, with recruitment continuing to be way below the level. But once again, there's a big rebuild needed in the summer, with lots of players set to leave and a new manager required. You've got to win your home games and try and become hard to beat away from home, and just get carved open, which happened especially when Russell Martin was replaced by Ivan Juric, because he purely just didn't understand the level and the pace of the Premier League. You've got to go out and probably get someone who's willing to drop down to the Championship, but has also stayed up in the Premier League before, maybe a Steve Cooper. Back to you in the studio.
Thank you, Nathan. Moving on to some cricket now. Wisden, England's most coveted cricket magazine, have come out with their 5 cricketers of the year, one of them being from Hampshire. We have Huzaifa Yousafzai to tell us more.
Thank you very much, Lloyd. That is correct. The Hampshire player in question is none other than Liam Dawson, all-rounder for obviously the South Coast County. He becomes the first Hampshire player since Kevin Peterson almost 2 decades ago to enter into the top 5 Wisden Players of the Year. The other players in the top 5 are Surrey trio and England internationals Jamie Smith, Gus Atkinson, and possibly a future England international Dan Worrell, alongside women's cricketer Sophie Eccleston. Liam Dawson will be very, very important for Hampshire this year, because Hampshire did finish second in the Championship last year behind Surrey, but are looking to go one better, and Dawson will be a big, big part of that. If Hampshire manage to go one better and finish first, they could win their first county championship in more than half a century. And it would also end Surrey's 3-year winning streak and their stronghold over the competition. So a big season for Liam Dawson and Hampshire coming up.
Moving on to some tennis now. Emma Raducanu has revealed that she intends to continue her part-time coaching partnership with Mark Petchey going forward. That follows the 22-year-old's run to the quarterfinals at the Miami Open last month. Raducanu, who has not had a full-time coach since January, opens up her campaign at the Madrid Open tomorrow. F1 fans are calling for Max Verstappen to change his racing style after a 5-second penalty cost him the Saudi Grand Prix on Sunday. The Dutch racer was seen to have gained an unfair advantage after leaving the track during a battle for first with eventual winner Oscar Piastri. The win means the Australian currently leads the 2025 Drivers' Championship, which Verstappen has won every year since 2021. Ronnie O'Sullivan is returning to snooker in just over 2 hours after 3 months away from competitive action. 7-time champion O'Sullivan will appear at the Crucible Theatre in Sheffield for the 33rd consecutive year. The 49-year-old hasn't played a competitive match since January, where he snapped his cue at the Championship League. Cameron Jarvis reports on O'Sullivan's comeback and the battles he's had with his mental health.
He's the greatest player in the world.
That was back in 2022 when Ronnie O'Sullivan beat Judd Trump to become a joint holding 7-time world champion. Many would have thought a year later, or even 2, he would have gone on to win 8. But he hasn't. He hasn't won 1 since. And in fact, he's actually taken a 3-month break from the sport after the 2024 Championship League to focus on his mental health and to make sure he is in the best mindset possible to potentially return to snooker for a few more years and to win that 8th World Championship. The Rocket is hopefully an 8th World Championship, but a new technique he tried 6 years ago has sort of hampered him from playing his best game.
I don't know, listen, I tried a kind of new training technique method 6 years ago, and I think it's completely stopped me from playing on knowing what I used to do. So that's been a difficult thing, and I just don't know how to kind of get back to somewhere near how I used to play.
Freelance journalist Jonathan Davis said Ronnie Sullivan was suffering from stage fright, which is very rare for a 7-time world champion.
Freelance snooker journalist, currently working for livesnooker.com and Snooker Scene magazine. Trying to cope with stage fright, which sounds a bit bizarre for a 7-time world champion. You never know what's going on behind the scenes. And snooker's an individual sport, as we know. You're very much left to your own devices, and when things aren't necessarily going so well, it can be a very lonely place. So that's where it's very important to have.
Ronnie O'Sullivan, however, is not the only player to document mental health issues within the sport. The jester from Leicester, Mark Southgate, also has his share of mental health issues. Jonathan has also said that we're now seeing more and more sports psychologists in the game, and maybe that's the route Ronnie should go down.
Snooker's an individual sport, as we know. You're very much left to your own devices, and when things aren't necessarily going so well, it can be a very lonely place. So that's where it's very important to have good people in your corner, good people giving you good advice in order to keep you on track. A lot of players have taken the option of employing a sports psychologist of late, so it seems like that might be the way.
Ronnie will play old rival Ali Carter, who he was beat in 2 World Snooker finals previously. But it was Carter who was victorious last time out when he beat the Rocket 13-9 in the famous match that had the brush of shoulders. Yet that's all secondary, as a Sheffield crowd get to witness the Rocket return to the Crucible for a 33rd time and hope to see him at his best once again. Cameron Jarvis, Solent Sport News.
Cameron is currently at the Crucible with a score update. Cameron, what have you got for us?
Yes, thank you, Lloyd. Ronnie O'Sullivan has now made his way into the Crucible. It wasn't the start he wanted, though. He has gone 1 frame down to Ali Carter. Carter got a 50-point advantage. It was a shot to the pink, on the pink to the middle right pocket that O'Sullivan missed. He then clipped the red, which left it over the top left pocket. So that left Carter to be able to clear to take the first frame. The second frame's a bit more scrappy. Carter's currently at the table. Ronnie did have himself in originally, but he missed a pot. So a very sort of tentative start. On the other side of the table, though, it's Ding Junhui versus Zach Shirty. They got started away yesterday, but Ding has ran away with that, now leads 7-4. As for this morning, the Magician, the 2005 world champion, Sean Murphy, raced into a 7-2 lead against qualifier and Welshman Daniel Wells. And Zhang Anda and Pang Junju, an all-Chinese affair, ended 5-3. As for tonight, though, Si Jiahui, the Chinese sensation, will return against Dave Gilbert after they started yesterday. Si leads that game 6-3. And the world number 1, Judd Trump, starts his world championship campaign, hoping to win a second world title against another Chinese man in Zhou Yulong. But the big focus this afternoon is on Ronnie O'Sullivan. It's currently 1-0 to Carter, but of course, there's 9 frames to play in this first session. Back to you, Lloyd.
Thank you, Cameron. We're moving on to some basketball now. In the NBA playoffs are underway. The month-long tournament sees the best 16 basketball teams battle it out to crown the 2025 NBA champions. The favourites going in are Oklahoma City Thunder and the Cleveland Cavaliers, who are both led their respective conferences. Both teams won their opening game, the Thunder winning by an outstanding 51 points against the Memphis Grizzlies. Keeping across the pond, the NFL are getting ready for their upcoming season with the NFL Draft starting on Thursday. The yearly event decides where 250 college players will play professionally. The first round will see the top 32 prospects get chosen, with Miami quarterback Cam Ward expected to be chosen first, seen as a potential next Tom Brady. That's all from us this hour. I'll be back in an hour with our final show of the day. Remember, you can keep up to date 24 hours a day on our website, which is solentsportsnews.com.